What's that I hear? Coconut oil helps you lose weight. Coconut oil prevents heart disease. Coconut oil boosts your metabolism. Whoa there! Coconut oil has been hyped to be the latest and greatest superfood. But what's the evidence behind these claims? Let's science this. There are some major discrepancies in the perceived healthfulness of coconut oil. A 2016 survey showed that 72% of the general public think that coconut oil is healthy, whereas only 37% of nutritionists do. Why the disconnect? Nutrition experts are concerned about the high saturated fat content, which is linked to an increased risk in cardiovascular disease. In a 2017 report, the American Heart Association boldly stated that they advise against the use of coconut oil. On the opposite end of the spectrum, many celebrities, paleo diet enthusiasts, and natural health gurus encourage people to use it in stir-fries, smoothies, and to eat it by the spoonful. Food producers have pounced on this trend, with over a quarter of all new food and beverage products containing coconut oil in 2012. I'm going to delve into the science behind two of the big claims made about coconut oil so that we can separate fact from fiction. And so you can decide whether to run to the nearest Whole Foods to make that Instagram-worthy coconut oil stir-fry. Coconut oil is produced by extracting the oil from the flesh of a mature coconut. Unlike most other oils which are liquid at room temperature, coconut oil is solid with a melting point around 24 degrees Celsius. The reason for this difference is because coconut oil is made with 92% saturated fat, which are fats made with carbon chains that have all single bonds. Other liquid oils are primarily made of unsaturated fats, meaning that the carbon chains have at least one double bond. However, the saturated fat molecules in coconut oil are much shorter than other sources of saturated fat in our diet, such as dairy and beef. And this difference in fat composition is what underlies many of the health claims made about coconut oil. Claim number 1. Coconut oil helps you lose weight. The saturated fats that make up coconut oil are frequently designated as medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs, because they are made of medium-length carbon chains. There have been several studies using purified MCT oils, showing that they can help you lose weight and shed body fat. These MCT oils are produced in a lab by refining coconut and palm oil to produce an oil that is composed exclusively of 8 and 10 carbon chain length fats called caprylic acid and capric acid. Studies supplementing with MCT oils have shown an increase in weight loss and a decrease in waist circumference, indicating a loss of belly fat. It is thought that weight loss occurs through increased satiety, or a feeling of fullness that causes you to eat less overall, and by boosting your metabolism so that you burn more calories. When you eat these shorter fats in the MCT oil, they are absorbed from the small intestine directly into the blood and can be broken down for energy right away by our liver, instead of getting deposited into our fat tissue. Most other fats in our diet are much longer carbon chains that are packaged into fat transporters called chylomicrons. Chylomicrons. These chylomicrons taxi through our bloodstream, dropping off those longer chain fats in our peripheral tissues, including our fatty adipose tissue. Since the saturated fat in coconut oil is shorter than other edible fats, it is assumed that they would display all the same characteristics as these MCT oils and therefore cause you to lose weight too. In reality, out of the fats that make up coconut oil, only 16% are caprylic and capric acid. 47% of coconut oil is made up of a 12 carbon chain length fat called lauric acid. Although many people call lauric acid a medium chain triglyceride, only 30% of lauric acid is directly absorbed into the blood, like the shorter fats in MCT oil, and the other 70% is packaged into chylomicrons, just like the long chain fats. Due to the differences in fat composition between MCT oil and coconut oil, we can't directly extrapolate the results seen with MCT oil supplementation to coconut oil. There have been only a few studies directly investigating the effect of coconut oil supplementation on weight loss. Overall, they showed no sustained increase in satiety, no differences in body weight compared to control, and a very slight decrease in waist circumference. But these results were highly variable, with some patients increasing their waist circumference and others decreasing it. These studies were small, and they suffered from some design errors that makes it difficult to come away with strong conclusions. Celebrity recommendations to eat coconut oil by the spoonful might actually make you gain weight if you're adding coconut oil to your diet as opposed to using it to replace something else. Coconut oil is calorically dense, with 1 tablespoon yielding 117 calories. Take-home message here, the evidence indicates that coconut oil is not an effective weight loss tool. Claim number 2. Coconut oil prevents cardiovascular disease. Advocates of coconut oil have frequently cited the very low rate of cardiovascular disease in populations that have traditionally consumed high amounts of coconut, such as Sri Lankans, Indians, Filipinos, and Polynesians. When researchers studied the coconut-rich diets of the islands of Puka Puka and Tokelau, they found that cardiovascular disease was nearly non-existent, despite a high saturated fat intake. However, we can't draw causation from correlation. Plus, there are so many other lifestyle factors that could have contributed to that low rate of cardiovascular disease, such as a diet that's high in unprocessed fruits, vegetables, and fish, and consumption of the whole coconut flesh, which is additionally high in fiber. So we can't isolate the effect of coconut oil consumption on cardiovascular disease risk from these observational population studies. There have been no controlled clinical trials done looking at coconut oil consumption and cardiovascular disease directly. So the best we can do is look at the effect of coconut oil consumption on biomarkers of cardiovascular disease, such as your blood cholesterol. Studies supplementing with coconut oil have consistently shown an increase in total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol, or the bad cholesterol. These are both associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. Some, but not all studies have shown that coconut oil increases the HDL cholesterol, or the good cholesterol, which is associated with a reduced risk of cardiovascular disease. These inconsistencies with coconut oil increasing both the bad and the good cholesterol make it difficult to predict the overall effect on cardiovascular disease risk. So at this time, it would be premature to switch to coconut oil for heart health. There is, however, much more consistent evidence indicating that switching to vegetable oils, which are high in polyunsaturated fats, reduce the bad LDL cholesterol and increase the good HDL cholesterol. So this would be the most heart-healthy choice. Take-home message: currently there is no evidence indicating that switching to coconut oil will reduce your cardiovascular disease risk. My overall conclusions about coconut oil are that the effects of MCT oil supplementation on weight loss have been inappropriately extrapolated to coconut oil consumption. From the cardiovascular disease perspective, there isn't any convincing evidence indicating that coconut oil should be viewed differently from other saturated fats in our diet. Diets high in saturated fat increase the risk of heart disease. It is recommended to consume less than 10% of your total daily calories as saturated fat, which is 22 grams per day for a 2,000 calorie diet. If you were to consume all your saturated fat in the form of coconut oil, then that would work out to just under 2 tablespoons. If you like the flavor or the cooking properties of coconut oil, by all means go ahead and use it. Just make sure to keep it within that 22-gram cap and use it to displace other sources of saturated fat in your diet like butter and beef. The way I've applied this information to my life is by eating coconut oil in moderation. I have a favorite banana bread recipe that uses coconut oil, and I'll continue to make that as a special treat. But day to day, I'll focus on getting over 90% of the fat from my diet in the form of polyunsaturated vegetable oils, monounsaturated olive oils, nuts, and fish. And that's what science tastes like. Thanks for tuning into Nourishable. If you like what you're learning, please share, subscribe, and ring the bell for new video alerts. I was super psyched to use these Snatoms to model the chemical structures of fats in this video. They're created by one of my YouTube heroes, Derek Muller of Veritasium. Check out the link in my description if you want to support Snatoms.